promotion of sustainability in pharmaceutical supply chains. It's a mouthful. Specifically, the use of IT into influencing consumer choice. Okay, this is Ben. This is Mohammed. My name's Andrew. Alright, specifically these are the objectives that we're going to go through in this presentation. First of all, we're going to go through a minor snapshot of the appreciation of the current situation, a little bit of research, what it showed us, and something that we're geared and aiming towards in our presentation. We're going to go through pharmaceutical supply chains, what they are, and then break them down into individual parts. We're going to go through sustainability and how it matches to our product in terms of the issues, the measures, the benefits, the challenges, etc. What we've done is we've created an app. Now, the app wasn't specifically the whole idea and the aim. The app is specifically a method via which to show the process we've gone through in order to use IT to influence consumer choice. And next, after that, we're going to go through the parameters of supply chain members, specifically economic, environmental and social, and how this rounds off and mix into our product. The appreciation of the current situation. A bit of research we did. I'm not going to read it all out, but a great deal of companies, businesses, etc. publicly share their sustainability goals, whether that be to social issues, legal issues, because I dare say in many countries it might differ, but there are legalities towards showing these. You know, you think at the bottom of the website, you know, sustainability, how we do it, what we try and do. Slightly lower numbers, but still a great deal, try and make sustainability brand promises, so they won't just say, oh, this is the best product because it's the greatest drink, it's the greatest, you know, medicine, etc. They try and show that it's to do with sustainability. I mean, one of the greatest examples of this is cars, for example. I mean, I know in our country it's illegal to advertise based on speed, but they will always go on about green issues. Okay then, but the surprising factor was, and even I was quite surprised about this, is that especially when it comes to medicines and supply chains, a very small amount actually apply these sustainability goals and values throughout their entire network. Now you'll see, I have a small snapshot of how great this network is when Ben goes through the next part, but it's quite shocking to show that this isn't just not happening. Now when you think about this whole factor, it's a case of marketing. I mean, it's initially what I thought of it. A company will come along, market their product, they'll go on about sustainability, but it won't exactly rifle through and go right through to the end of the product until when the consumer goes through. Now what we're trying to do is to make use of the medical information with our app, display this information to the user, make them more aware of the particulars to do with sustainability and the comparison between different products, and hopefully enforce a little bit of choice, or a bit more of choice than consumers currently have.
Right, okay. So let me break it down for you. Picture the whole healthcare sector as one big supply chain. Yeah. Now, we've talked about telemedicine so far, the advantages of remote diagnosis and things like that. With regards to sustainability, it has a huge impact because, for example, if people stayed at home and received medical care rather than go to hospitals, they reduce the carbon footprint, they save up on transportation, CO2 emissions, and it has a big impact on sustainability. So that's cool. But in some aspects, sustainability is like an all or nothing sort of thing. Everybody has to be on board. So we're not just looking at the consumers, we also have to check the progress of the companies that make drugs for us. So, when I say supply chain, there are many definitions of a supply chain, but we'll just use this one. We can look at this as 4 major components. We can start from the beginning. Supply. If we were to use a drug, for instance, for example, we start from the people who cobble up like the different ingredients for the drug, and then pass it on to the secondary guy. For example, the chemical ingredients are the raw materials, and then the secondary guy repackages and distributes. It passes it on to the drug manufacturer, who we can call the producer. After the manufacture of the drug is distributed, now at the distribution section you have a wholesaler. In the UK, the NHS supply chain is like a major body set up for this sort of thing. You have private distributors as well. And then you have the retailers, who technically are the hospitals. And then finally, you have the people who take these products, which are the patients. So, the role of the patients in terms of sustainability is adopting methods like telemedicine, trying to reduce carbon emissions of transportation and things like that. Fine. How about the rest of the chain? What is their role in terms of sustainability? We did a number of interviews to get the picture as regards the entire healthcare supply chain. And as we've mentioned before, where the consumer's role is to exhibit non-sustainable behaviors, the role of companies that manufacture and distribute healthcare products would be to display environmental and social sustainability. By that I mean they use green energy, they don't exploit human labor, so they are good environmentally and they're good socially. Here are examples of ways in which they can display that. So they have to adopt those measures to deal with issues such as resource depletion and loss of habitat and serious environmental and social issues. They have to be responsible environmentally and socially to match the behavior of the consumers so that all along there will be good sustainability all through. So the benefits of that for the people who make the drugs for us are a reduction in their costs, they gain positive reputation, and in terms of the public sector and high profile work, they have a chance of winning this. For the rest of us, for old people and the rest of us, by adopting telemedicine, remote diagnosis, and every other sustainable behavior, we gain improvement on our health, we save money. For example, no need to go to the hospital to stay at home, save up your £3, £6 or something. There is improved convenience. You don't have to leave your house to gain access to medical care. And as a result of all this, there's increased productivity because now you can be able to focus on other things. You don't have to physically move to a location to gain access to care. You can do other things as well if it's not a threatening health condition. So there are benefits on both sides. But with benefits come challenges. With benefits come challenges. And the challenges of this include, while there are benefits, there are also challenges as well in terms of the overall capital expenditure required for a company to become truly sustainable, based on our research, is quite substantial. You need upfront capital investment. And there is also the issue of change. There is always resistance to change, not just for companies, but for us as a people. Telling people to transit from what they are used to, for instance, going over to hospitals, to staying at home and receiving medical care. It's not always a seamless transition, you know. Some people are used to doing things old-fashioned ways. They may not like technology, things like this. So on both sides, there's just resistance to change and extra training requirements and things like that. Now, ways of overcoming these challenges include collaborating to reduce costs, engaging with customers, localizing the supply chain to reduce environmental and social impacts of a wide business network, and selecting partners that think like you. And for the rest of us, for us customers, we have to learn more about which healthcare practices are sustainable and also to support these guys when they're being sustainable. So once companies display sustainability, we should be able to support them by purchasing from them. So we're looking at how to integrate this whole thing together. Letting sustainability run through from us to the customers, finding a way to present all this in one IT solution, and giving customers a better way of choosing sustainable companies to patronize, in addition to our own sustainable lifestyles. So I'll just get over here to talk about the technical sides and how this.
So we created apps where you'll see a lot of features in there. One of them is to provide consumer with a clear idea of the sustainability of levels of different pharmaceutical companies and their supply chains, because any companies, they have a production, distribution, consumption, one of those. And so you'll be able to look all of them one by one. Then it's enable consumer to compare different companies based on their degrees of sustainability, like different other companies. So you'll see which is doing very good for environment, who is doing cost and other. You will see a lot of less consumer know which companies offer the best balance of price, quality, environmental protection, and social responsibilities. Promotes the use of sustainability as a marketing tool, so it's encourage everyone to get all the information up on the website, different websites.
Just as an extension to that point, our research guided us towards the fact that, okay, there are the legal and social aspects to it, but a lot of it is aimed towards the individual and their level of knowledge regarding, I don't know, green issues, ecological issues, and it's to try and use this, not so much as a marketing tool, but we found that when people are marketing it, they're marketing it for the individual, not so much the benefits, more for the sake of doing it because of the legal aspects involved, the social aspects involved. Because first and foremost, they are there to make a profit, and that comes first. So it's trying to push this so it's, if not at the same level of that as when it comes to the consideration of this by companies, at least as close as we can get it.
And all the information obtained via company website, professional review, peer-to-peer academic and industry research, and primary research as well. And parameter, what we have in here we have a company, Pfizer, is everyone knows, very well known pharmaceutical company, and their supply chain. We would consider the following sustainability parameter for each members. So you have here the parameters: economics, environmental, and social. So if you look into economics, you can see the price and quality, like what's their price, what they're doing. Is there any fake materials? We can get all the information from our apps. We can see that environmental, like company has any environmental policy. Is there any emergent energy efficiency, any waste recovery? For example, it's recycling. It's like, are they going to dump all the waste straight to the wasteland, or are they going to recycle into different products? We're able to see how local the company is. Like, as a consumer, can I get the product? It's really easy and quickly. Will we see environmentally friendly whatever. Yeah. So basically, we'll be able to see, like, is there any, what they're doing, like any carbon footprint? Are they using electric vehicles or any other way to minimize their carbon footprint? Social. Is there any company has any CRS policy, which is corporate social responsibility? Any jobs preservation? Are they creating any jobs for locals or abroad? And is there any skills and work experience? Not just the jobs for full time. Is there any, like, who got work experience? Is there any more jobs for them as well? And social projects, like, are they doing any charity works to make social better and everything else? And we have on the right, if you look into it, we have a weightings. Everything is like 33%. The reason we put everything 33% because the weighting criteria is based on definition of sustainability, how it works. Everything all the parameters should be equally. So economical, environmental, and social have to be all equal, 33%. And the way it works, the performance will be get from average all of them, not just you have social 100% and others is less. It has to be average of all of the parameters. So before I go to show the app, we like to talk, like everyone asked last 2 days, like who's got mobile phone or anything else. Yeah, we know everyone has a mobile phone in here, but I'm a games programming student. So before we create a game, we have to look into like our target audience. So who's the target audience? So the result we got from the research, it shows the target audience is between age range 35 to 70. So all the age range, so people play, like let's say older people, they usually play games, not like say Call of Duty or Diablo, but say Angry Birds, some Candy Crush, those kind of games, and they spend a lot of money in there. So we wanted to make something that's really easy to use, and you can get information very quickly. We have a NHS app. It's called Choose Well, which allows everyone to look to, like, if you need any kind of medical help, where you have to go. Do you have to go, like you have a cough, do you have to go A&E, or you can take care of yourself, or you have to go to surgery? So we want to make something that's really easy to use. Anyone can use it and can get all the information. So we created apps that's working prototype. It works, everything goes fine. It's called SASTA, as you know, it's sustainability. And I'll demonstrate, because we don't have a surface, we have got forms, I'll demonstrate in here.
Okay, so in a nutshell, the plan is through methods such as telemedicine, the consumer demonstrates sustainability. Now, through sustainable business practice, the companies demonstrate sustainability. Now, based on the app, it will create like a sustainable picture that will be accessed throughout the whole supply chain, and then let consumers know what that score is, and hopefully it will influence their choice of which products to patronize. So,
Shall we turn this on?
sorry,
Press the button. And then it's blue. And then you have to wait for 2 seconds. It should be working. Just wait. Yeah.
Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'll lift it up. Oops. Can you see? So we have an option here. So if you click on this, it will take you, should take you somewhere. Just a second.
Over email Murphy as well.
Come on.
Have you tried turning it off and on?
Yeah, I'm doing this.
well, on the off chance that just to save time and while he's
Yeah, you can
rebooting
go on.
it, yes. So the app features let me just use an example so that it will be straightforward. Now, assuming that we're talking about the health problem of a headache, and we're saying which drugs for headaches offers the best sustainability performance throughout the supply chain. Using the app, a list of drugs for headache will come down. So drug A, drug B, drug C, drug D. For each one, if you click on it, it will give you information about the suppliers of the raw materials for that drug, the producers that produce the drug, the distributors of the drug, and then who the drug is for. Now, it will now go on to give you the economic, environmental, and social performance for each component of the supply chain for that drug. So for example, it will give you the performance for the costs and quality of the drug. It will give you the performance for the environmental performance of the drug, of the people who make the drug, and it will give you the social performance of the people who make the drug. It will give you a total score based on the performance, and thus you'll be able to compare two different drugs for a particular ailment and decide on which one you choose based on the score. So the hope is that.
Okay.
All right.
Sorry. I'm not sure how clear. Can you see the screen on the?
I'm standing in front of it.
So we have a apps in here. You can see it says all the name of the drugs. So if you click one of those, it will show you the supply, production, distribution. And if you click on supply, we select a Phaser because it's a well-known company. And it will tell you about everything about what they do as a supply. So if I go back, and hopefully I'll go back to it. So we have another compare price. So we have 4 of the big compare pricing websites for drugs. So if I click one of those, it will take me to that website, and if I put anything in, it will show you the price and the location of the site as well. Yeah. So if I type something here, say code. It's look like the way I'm not connected to the internet, some reason it's going back. Anyway, it shows all the different prices and everything, so if I go back. And we have in here production. Do you want to talk about it?
Okay, so as I started off earlier, we'll use an example. If for a particular drug you wanted to focus on a particular component of its supply chain, if we use production for example, you click on production to take you down to the company that manufactures the drug. Then you have the options to like choose between its economic, environmental and social performances.
Sorry.
Where? Right. So economic includes cost and quality. You check the cost of the drug and the quality, its previous record in terms of effectiveness. Environmental, which we'll use as an example now, will give you different. We've decided on different indicators of environmental performance, such as energy efficiency and things like that. One other example is supply chain localization. So if you clicked on it now, for example, I don't know if you can see this. I doubt you can, but it would give an example of the good things about the company in terms of how well it localizes the supply chain. It reads, for example, the company uses, even though I can't read it, the company uses a local primary supply chain, which is a local primary supplier, which is a good thing, and a local secondary supplier, which is a good thing. And the products go to local consumers and uses local distributors. So the implication is that the the carbon emissions are reduced, so it counts as a good score. But one of the company's primary suppliers are based away from the locality, even though they have an option to go local. So that counts as a bad thing. So we'll look at the good and bad sides of each criteria and then create a score for it. So we haven't decided, we would need to work with other people to arrive at a consensus for the scores for each criteria. So we've decided not to score this particular one. But the maximum score for economic, environmental, and social, as has been said, is 33%. So the aim is at the end, you can be able to work out the total score for each product, for a particular ailment, and decide on the most sustainable option.
And we created an NHS RSS feed, so you can look through all the different products, their information, what they're doing, is there any new products coming on the market. And we have Facebook page, you can look through what they're doing for social, encouraging anything. So if I go in here, he says they are doing a charity event to raise money, one of those. So that's how they promote their companies, which everyone will be able to see.
So it counts as a good thing for them on that score, and vice versa.
Yeah, go next slide.
Alright, we're going to do further work because we have already recognised, and I'm sure you have all recognised, the app is fairly limited in some aspects as opposed to others. Now I'm going to actually talk about these next 2 points together. Okay, you've got to assign weights to different sustainability criteria. Okay, that's only if that information currently exists. Now the one problem we had is that because of the vastness of the supply chain network, because companies are quite private towards it at the moment, you can have a problem trying to gain access to that information. I mean, we've tried going to companies and
Yes.
emailing, it's like, oh, we only work with certain people, or some of them might tell us some information, but only a small amount, and it's trying to start that, build that network, because everyone under the right understanding, there is no current central database relating specifically to the information that we use.
So a way around that is that company data is just one tiny part of it, which rely on data from other sources. For example, we could consult our own primary site, we could visit the sites to investigate ourselves, we could rely on other people that do these investigations, and so we'll get data from different sources to assess this thing, not just from the company. So this is just one limitation.
Okay then. And also, achieving great definition of sustainability criteria. Effectively, how local is local? Because when you're talking about the logistical aspects of it, I mean, I know I, for one, it's not local if I can't walk to it. Whereas I know from my last few days' experience here, some people, like Finnish people, might consider the Great Helsinki area as locality. Now, I personally wouldn't. It's trying to define that between people, and obviously a little bit more complex between companies. And also, when you think about, you know, logically how local is local in the supply chain, because it might be that one aspect is right next to another, but you know, is that distributor from right back to it, how many steps is there from that distributor right to the very start of that supply chain? And it could vary depending on the product and the producers, the distributors, the manufacturers, and it's trying to define, you know, how local is local effectively. Any questions?